Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golick look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Golick and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Old school Run DMC, and that might sum up a lot of what's going on in the NBA, Mike, right now. It is tricky.
Yeah,
Try and get that team chemistry because it doesn't seem like it's working for anybody except the one team that no one can find a way to beat, the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, they're just kind of hanging back saying, yeah, we'll just go ahead and do this again while everybody's kind of having their issues.
And I get it. Houston won the regular season series 2-1. That's fine. You're right. You did win that. We'll see what happens when you meet in the postseason. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We are on ESPN News on the TV side right now as Caroline Wozniacki is taking on Carla Suarez Navarro at the Australian Open. And Caroline Wozniacki is having a good time at this point. When that is over, we will bounce over to TV on ESPN2. We
got a lot going on here. I'm not stopping the Armageddon train on you, just so you know.
I'll own it. I did not think they were up for any Academy Awards.
Again, we really do have a big asteroid coming toward the planet that's going to miss us by a couple million miles, but in space terms,
2.6 million.
But in space terms, that's relatively close. So I said we got to send the real life Bruce Willis and his crew up there to go 800 feet deep and blow that sucker up. Got to do it. And you ripped Armageddon.
No.
I
asked a question. I said, wouldn't it be easier to train astronauts to drill than train drillers to become astronauts?
I'm going back even further. What did you say about the movie? You didn't think it was a very good movie.
No, it's okay. It was a little overdone. I thought it was a little overdone.
For 4 Academy Awards.
I whiffed on the Academy Awards.
And I'm going to bring up some more issue and more ammo for you on just what a good movie that this was. So stay tuned for that.
Totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to shake the hand of the father, the bravest person I've ever met in my life.
It's unbelievably brave. Gave his life.
Absolutely.
Spoiler alert. Gave his life.
Spoiler alert. The movie came out in 1998, 20 years ago.
I don't think
we have to worry about spoilers for Armageddon.
Somebody will be mad.
Well, isn't that Twitter? So everybody is mad about everything until they forget what they were mad about and they get mad about something the next day.
There you go.
By the way, tweet us at Golick and Wingo.
Yeah.
Let us know just what you're angry about this morning, as Golick is upset that I dare disgrace the dignity and the courage of
yes, you did.
Fake people.
Those brave men.
And you know what's not important? That. But this is important. What's trending right now? And what's trending is really a good sign if you're a Roger Federer fan. Rafa Nadal, the top seed at the Australian Open, had to retire in the quarterfinals with an apparent hip injury in the 5th set against Marin Cilic. He was down 2 games to love in that 5th set.
So he's out. Joker's out. Djokovic is out. He lost. Andy Murray never even made the tournament. He's got the hip issue going on. So there's Roger Federer. He went through this in the U.S. Open, right? Everybody was basically out of that. I don't want to, disparage what he did or anything, but there were some players missing.
It was
no doubt about it.
It was at Wimbledon.
At Wimbledon. There were some players missing. And here, players are getting beat. Murray obviously not playing with the injury, but here's Federer just kind of cruising his way through, huh?
I mean, it's amazing. He keeps getting better and better the older he gets. And, he won 2 of the slams last year. Rafa won the other 2. Look, anything could happen. There's still a long way to go, but it certainly looks like it's setting up for another Roger Federer win at the Australian Open. Again, Rafa Nadal, the top seed, out. He retired in the 5th set, down 2 games to love against Marin Cilic, who, by the way, Federer beat in the Wimbledon final a year ago. Also, this is important. What's trending? A couple of football teams have new head coaches. The Giants named Pat Shurmur as their new head coach. A source tells Adam Schefter the 2 sides have agreed on a 5-year contract.
The thought first was Pat Shurmur was going to go to the Cardinals and possibly bring Case Keenum there as well. You hear reports now both Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater don't really know what's going on in Minnesota. That won't happen now with Pat Shurmur going to the Giants. Eli will still be the quarterback, but with that number 2 pick, expect them to take a quarterback of the future for that team. So Shurmur starts there, and again, the reports have been that Jack Del Rio will be his defensive coordinator. And speaking of D coordinators and now the former Carolina Panthers D coordinator, Steve Wilks, is the new head coach with the Arizona Cardinals. He truly has a quarterback situation that he has to deal with of either starting completely over with a rookie or getting a veteran, of which there will be some available in free agency this year.
Look, we always talk about how crazy the NBA free agent market is in the offseason.
Yep.
This NFL offseason, nothing will ever be like it. It's just a confluence of a bunch of million things. You have at least 4, potentially 5 quarterbacks that could be drafted in the first round. You have guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, who is technically a free agent, Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins. The idea that Alex Smith could be moving after a 4,000 passing yard season with 26 touchdowns against 5 interceptions. The plethora, if you will, of veteran quarterbacks that are available out there is going to be something that we've never seen, and how that plays out will certainly affect how the draft plays out the following month in April. So there'll be a lot of moving parts. It's going to be interesting. But to the point about quarterback, Mike, it's not a coincidence, I don't think, that Pat Shurmur got a 5-year contract where if you draft someone in the first round, you can have them for 5 years.
Yeah, you can. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You know, and like we said, Blake Bortles, they got his 5th-year option picked up in Jacksonville, although it looks like they can get rid of him or release him from that before the start of the March 14th, I think, is start of the new year in the NFL. So lots to get into there going down the road, but it's time to get into with what's going on in the NBA. Let's bring in our great ESPN NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, joining us in studio, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. First and foremost, before we get to the NBA stuff, I think we can all agree, Mike and I are having this disagreement about Armageddon.
Yes, we are.
The one thing that could have stopped the Armageddon asteroid and maybe this one that's coming within a Woj bomb. Woj bomb would take that thing right out.
Yep.
I didn't know about any of this until I walked in the studio.
So now you're really depressed.
But let's ask the question.
Another thing to be scared about.
Armageddon, good movie, bad movie?
Who is? I don't remember.
Armageddon.
No, there
Bruce
you go.
Willis taking his drilling crew up to land on the asteroid and blow it up so it doesn't impact Earth. Woj, come on.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's not the same one as the Independence Day. That's a different one.
That would be a different one. That would have to do with aliens. Yeah. That would be.
It's
that was
amazing.
Will
We
Smith.
saved the world twice.
Well,
in history
listen,
in that manner, right?
you find different ways to save the world. How about that?
Sometimes the world needs different ways to be saved.
Alien invasion, asteroids slamming into the Earth.
And
either
sometimes
way.
segments need to be saved. So we'll move on seamlessly. First of all, Woj, can't anybody get along in the NBA right now? Golick brought it up. Damian Lillard's wondering what their direction's going on. Kemba Walker's like, wait, I'm trade bait. We have the issues in Cleveland. They have the issues with Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs. Is anybody happy besides Golden State at this point? Maybe Houston? Yeah.
Houston's pretty pleased.
So we got 2.
Right.
We got 2. All right, let's start with Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
You're reporting on Saturday that there was a team meeting and everyone sort of was blaming Kevin for a lot of the problems. How bad is it in Cleveland right now?
It is bad in Cleveland right now, and there is just a culture of finger pointing that's gone on there, that's going on there. It was Kevin Love Day yesterday. They had a team meeting, I was told, prior to practice. This had been festering for a couple days since he left the game early in Oklahoma City. They were getting blown out by the Thunder. He left the arena early. Not everybody was aware he was going. He was sick. He said missed practice Sunday, not feeling well, and there were a lot of players in the locker room questioning the legitimacy of it. They brought him in. They had a team meeting. Some guys challenged him on it, but not only challenged him, challenged the coaching staff, the front office in the meeting about, are you holding him accountable for this? But Love did talk in the meeting. We'll see now how it plays out, how it impacts them. But again, like, the targets are generally moving targets in Cleveland, and now they're putting this blame on Love, and the team has issues off the court. They certainly have them on the court where they are not playing well, and you're seeing they miss Kyrie Irving. They miss that kind of star talent who could bail them out in times when they weren't playing well. LeBron hasn't played great here in the last few weeks, and so there's a lot to resolve.
Was this a team meeting specifically for Kevin Love, or was this a team meeting, the airing of grievances, and then one of the ancillary things was the Kevin Love topic?
From what I'm told, Love was the focus. Love was the focus going in because that was the first day he was back with the group.
Gotcha.
After being away, after leaving Saturday, then being away on Sunday.
So we see this each January with the Cavaliers. Do you think it's worse than it's been in the past and could truly have an effect on this team not making the finals?
You know, the chemistry they've had. You look traditionally with teams around LeBron, he has traditionally thrived with the drama. You look at Golden State, his personality, Steph Curry's personality. Steph, it's typically been a very calm, smooth ride. it's reflective of their personalities. LeBron has thrived in it, and he has found ways to make his teammates thrive in it. They're just not as good of a team. Like, we can talk about all this other stuff. They are not the same team on the floor. Jay Crowder, who came in that Boston trade, who they thought would be a big piece, he hasn't played to the level he has in past years. Isaiah Thomas is still slowly coming back. Defensively, he has been a tremendous liability on the court for them. And they don't have the assets to make the kind of impactful trade that everybody wants them to make, or that internally LeBron wants to see them make, that the coaching staff would want. They don't have players' pieces that anybody in the league is dying for right now. And their best asset, their most valuable property, is that Brooklyn Nets pick from the Boston trade. And they're very hesitant to trade that because they don't know what LeBron's future is. They're not all in on this year, because if he's going to leave, they need that piece.
They need
to start rebuilding.
Right? Yeah.
And it's not like he's walking in and saying, these are my plans. LeBron.
He's not doing that.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that. And he didn't do it in the summer when they had to make a decision on Irving.
Okay, so as ESPN insider Adrian Wojnarowski is with us, that really leaves us to two questions in Cleveland. First and foremost, do you see any way it's salvageable in Cleveland this season? And by salvageable, I mean, listen, for LeBron and the Cavs, it's about one thing: getting back to the finals and having a chance to beat Golden State. Do you think that's still a possibility with who they may be able to get in a trade or not trade at all with this team as it's currently constructed?
I think it's possible they can get to the finals. I still think it's possible they can win
50-50,
the East.
60-40, where are you leaning right now?
Depends, like, what does the team look like at the trade deadline? Like, what kind of, like...
Can they get a difference maker without giving up that number one pick?
Very unlikely.
Okay.
And by a difference maker, that Brooklyn pick, they would use it, I'm told, on Paul George. Player like that. Paul George is not available. And then if you brought in Paul George, would that convince LeBron to stay? Would Paul George want to stay? But it doesn't matter because Paul George isn't available. If they could get a really good young player on a rookie contract who's a future all-star using that pick, those players aren't available. So could they get DeAndre Jordan? Is there a way to cobble together their own pick and some others? If LA didn't have anything better, is it conceivable in the final hours of the trade deadline that that's the best offer the Clippers have? Maybe it's conceivable. But DeAndre Jordan's not putting this team over the top.
No.
He's not helping them beat Golden State.
It's got to be with the paper they have, right?
Yeah, and so could they get to the finals? Yes. Are they in a position to be competitive with Golden State or even Houston? They're not.
Okay, so Mike, real quick, I'm sorry. So that leads us to the next question, which is, that's this year, and then what are the odds that LeBron James is still in Cleveland when the 2018-19 season starts?
I don't like to put odds at any of that. To me, it's these free agencies take on a life of their own. What else is available out there for him? Is there something that he thinks is better than what he has? Only he can answer that. I think, though, the organization is certainly preparing for the fact that he would leave based on the fact that they don't have an answer from him. They don't have resolution on it, and they are not willing to just mortgage all of their future, all of their assets for a run at a title they're probably not going to win anyway. They don't seem inclined to do that right now.
So with Isaiah Thomas, he's played 7 games. So the thought process from basketball folk of where he is right now and where he can be by the time the playoffs, and they really need him to be the Isaiah Thomas of last year. How much room is there, and is the expectation he can get there?
Well, I think certainly offensively he can, and he's had some moments here. There's been some up and down, but that's natural when you've been off that long. He played 7 games. He looked great his first game, and then there's some games he's not played as well. Defensively, he's hurt them, and he's hurt them. They covered for a lot with him defensively in Boston. That's why Cleveland is very much in the market now, looking at some bigger guards. They've talked a lot with Sacramento about George Hill. Sacramento would like to get George Hill moved before the trade deadline, maybe even sooner than that. Cleveland's called about Kemba Walker to see if there's a way to do a bigger deal for him. Not a bigger guard, but a little better defensively. Right. Doesn't have the size of Hill. But they have to get better in the backcourt. And they can do some of those deals potentially without giving up, without having to give up that Brooklyn pick. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on then to the other team that has another one of the great words you never want to have, festering issues, and that's the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard. You talked about it, and you talked to the GM, who acknowledged there are some difficulties there between Kawhi Leonard's people and the Spurs. How bad is that relationship?
Well, I would say this. R.C. Buford, the Spurs GM, denied there were any problems between the Kawhi and the team.
No, I'm sorry if I misread that.
No, right.
Yeah.
But he did acknowledge that there's been frustration.
Frustration is the word, right.
Frustration because of Kawhi's inability to get back on the court and the team's inability to find a way here and with the treatment to, as he said, kind of have a straight line. It hasn't been linear. It hasn't just been a rehab, player's better, he comes back and plays. He's been in and out. But there is a lot of stress on this organization right now based on how this has gone with Kawhi Leonard. There is, the way it's been described to us in our reporting, that he has become distant, disconnected from the group. And he's how both have handled the treatment, the rehab process, and then some of the timelines here of trying to bring him back, and then him saying, I don't feel right, I'm going to go back. It's created the relationships need work there now, and that's no one's better at that in the NBA than the Spurs. No one is better at that than Greg Popovich, R.C. Buford, and then the leadership in that locker room. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker are still leaders in that group. What makes it harder with Kawhi, I think, sometimes too, is he is not really communicative.
Right.
And what you see publicly with him is a lot what you'll see privately in terms of he's very private. He doesn't he's not effusive in feelings, and that makes it a little harder too. And then that's also a factor.
So let's say everything is hunky-dory with him and they work it out. We always say with San Antonio every year, well, it's San Antonio. They're going to be there every single year. Are we getting to the end of that? Ginobili 40, Gasol 37, Parker 35, LaMarcus Aldridge 32, Rudy Gay is over 30 years old. I mean, they are an old team that we keep saying is going to be there. Are we getting to the point where that's going to be an afterthought now?
Yeah, and you saw Greg Popovich move Tony Parker to the bench,
right?
And Murray, the really good young point guard who they see as their future there, playing a bigger role. You think about this. They've only had Kawhi Leonard for 9 games this season, and very limited in those 9 games. And the team is still in 3rd place in the West. And you think of having him, if Kawhi had been healthy and had been himself, which last year we could have made the case that he was the MVP. I mean, he was 2nd in the balloting, right? 3rd, played at the highest level. So you put him back this year, they'd be right there. And there's still, if he gets back and can get back to that this year, LaMarcus Aldridge has had really certainly his best year in San Antonio. They have a chance to be. There's still a gulf between them and Golden State. We saw what they did to Houston in the playoffs last year, but a healthy Kawhi Leonard still puts them back in that tier just below Golden State.
So how healthy can he be at that point? That's the issue, right?
That's the issue, and that's the question, and there's no answer to it. Nobody has that answer in San Antonio right now.
Yeah, the 2 words you don't want to hear: festering and indefinite. And those are bad words. Yeah. As ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski is with us. Okay, Woj, then we've got this story about Damian Lillard requesting a private meeting with Paul Allen. It seems like nobody's happy anywhere.
I think Damian Lillard's happy in Portland. I do. I think he has been all in on that market. He's been all in on that program. They've done a lot of winning when he's been there. They've been to the playoffs 4 straight years, been to the second round a couple times. He was Rookie of the Year there. Certainly Portland wants to improve. I think they have the pieces to get involved with some deals, but they're like a lot of other teams sort of in that range in the West with Denver. Certainly Minnesota is above them, but there's a grouping of teams there that are sort of fighting it out in that second tier. But he's got a good relationship with Paul Allen. Paul's always been, that's their franchise player. But he's reaffirmed lately several times, this is where I want to be. This is my team. Of course, your star player wants to know, hey, what are we working on? What are we doing? And I know he and Neil O'Shea, their GM, are in constant communication. I know they talk about that stuff all the time.
So we talk about the normals, the Golden State, the Houston, the San Antonio, the Cleveland, the Boston, Toronto, Washington. And then you wonder when new blood is going to come in there. So between Milwaukee, Minnesota, New Orleans, which of those franchises, in your mind, has the best ability to keep the talent they have and actually be able to build and get people to go there and build around that. All of them in the playoff hunt right now. Minnesota the top at number 3. But who can sustain it and add to it other than lose pieces?
Yeah, I think Minnesota's got a chance here because of the age, how young Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins are, and then Jimmy Butler, who's just brought that the leadership, that veteran, and a guy who's still playing at a really high level. New Orleans, they have done a good job of finding a way for Cousins and Anthony Davis to play together. And people weren't sure. I talked to Anthony Davis about this when I visited with him last month. He wasn't sure when Cousins came in. It didn't work well right away. But the two of them together are playing at a really high level. They don't have a lot of depth around them beyond Drew Holiday. But Milwaukee's the job, now with this job open, the coaching job open, and they'll fill it in the offseason. Joe Prunty will be their interim coach the rest of the season, I'm told. But that will be the plum job available in the NBA. And that includes almost anything else that could become available because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And they've got a new arena, a new practice facility coming. And they have maybe the best 25 and under player in the world.
Well, and look, he's there. They gave him that $6 year, $100 million extension, or 4 year, $100 million extension in September of 2016. Woj, we appreciate it. Next time, we want you to brush up on Deep Impact, Armageddon, Independence Day. Is there anything else we need to hit on?
Gravity.
Gravity? We'll put Gravity in there, too. And Wall-E, apparently, according to a researcher.
All the space movies.
Yeah, because that's...
With all your extra time.
We're leaving The Martian out, because that's really a science movie. It's more than anything else.
A way to break that down.
Interstellar? You want to do Interstellar on the list, too? Woj, can't he just break the NBA stories?
Does
he have to do all this other stuff? Really? We got the Oscar nominations coming out, and he's fine, okay? See, they always want to put more on your plate, Woj. They never want to take something off. They want to you just worry about the Woj bombs that'll steer the asteroids away from us. We'll handle the science fiction movies. Adrian Wojnarowski, thanks so much.
I'm going to worry about that meteor all day.
Yeah, I would.
Asteroid, meteor.
2.6 million. I think we're good.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself at the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golden Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and joining us now is a man who is one of only 4 wide receivers ever to be drafted number 1 overall, Mike. And the only one to do it or have it bestowed upon him in the last 30 years. That would be Keyshawn Johnson, who joins us as he works with us every day on ESPN's LA 710. Key, first of all, that's maybe one of the rarest draft nuggets of all time, one of only 4.
Yeah, what a wasted pick, huh?
No, I think it worked out okay.
Such a bust.
I think it worked out more than okay. I love your humble brag, though, because that's what you're all about. Before we get into this weekend's games, that had to be fun for you, Key, sitting on the set with Boomer and TJ, who are back together for NFL Primetime on Sunday.
You know what? That was fun, but the best part was sitting there, getting there at noon time, West Coast. And, I was probably about, 15, 20 minutes late for kickoff. And I get a text from TJ, like, where the bleep are you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, so I told him, I said, I'm picking up some friends. I'll be there in an hour. I thought the game started. I thought the first game started at 8 o'clock tonight. And there I am walking in the door inside the war room to watch the games. But that was the best part, sitting in the war room.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to analyze the games, sit with little Weasel Seth, have these conversations about all of the things about the game and just the memories back in Bristol and just having fun. That part was the best. Now, obviously, once we got on set, we turned the switch on, and I swear to you, it felt like we never stopped working together over the last couple of years. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was really like, boom. Then the music comes on, and you hear the music, and you get his voice going, and he's shooting off the highlights, and then it was seamless. I enjoyed it. I really did.
Well, for people that don't know, that is one of the biggest fun things about doing football here at ESPN. Everybody on Sunday gets together in that war room, and there's a million people with a million voices watching a million different TVs, and everybody screaming at each other, "Oh, I told you that was going to happen. No, you didn't know." That's the part of it that people don't know that really makes it a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. That's the best part, is being able to sit there and they say, "What do you think they're going to do right here, Key?" "Oh, they're going to run the draw." "Oh, he ran the draw, but he threw it." "Oh, he threw." You sit there. Bortles puts the ball in the belly against New England of the back, pulls it out. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the formation. I said, "Oh, they're going to run a draw." As soon as he stuck the ball in the belly and then he pulled it out and threw the fade to the tight end, I was sitting there going, good thing I'm not the defensive coordinator, because I was sure thinking it was a draw. And so was they. That's why the guy was wide open. But it was so much fun.
Key, I thought the same thing. I'm sitting in my house saying the exact same thing, and I said the exact same thing. And I said, well, that's why I'm not coaching a defense anymore, because I would have got completely faked out on that. So before we jump on the field and look to the Super Bowl or how the teams got there, take the people who never played and never got this experience, and quite honestly, for those of us that played 9 years and never got close to the Super Bowl, what this week now is like. For the Patriot players, they've been through this. How about for Philadelphia players? When does it start getting crazy for you, not so much on the field, but off the field, with all the things these guys are going to have to take care of before they even leave for the Super Bowl?
Well, the year that I went to the Super Bowl, we didn't have a week.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
okay.
We didn't. It was that year that we didn't have a week. But you still have the same priorities that you have to put in place, which is get all the tickets out of the way. That's number one.
Right.
How many? What do we have? Well, okay, well, we got 20. Get them out of the way. Don't call me. Push that off to somebody, whether it's an assistant, business manager, your agency. You guys deal with that. Now I just need to deal with helping get my family to the site. Once I'm done with that, I can now switch my focus to football. Now we can start diving in and watching film on my opponent, whoever that may be. And as you get to the site, the first couple days, you obviously got press and practice and all. You have very little time to do anything. I mean, at least we did. I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot of time to run around and hang out or go to parties at night. We had maybe like 2 days of kind of kicking it around with a light curfew. And then by the time we hit Wednesday, I would say, it was pretty much on lockdown. So that's kind of what should take place. Obviously, like you said, the New England Patriots have been through this a ton. Not only have they been through it a ton, as you know, Golick, in 2004, they lost 2 coaches, which was Romeo Crennel and Charlie Weiss went on to become head coaches after the Super Bowl win. But prior to that, they had to put their staffs together and do all of those things. So Matt Patricia, who I'm assuming is going to get that job in Detroit,
right,
and then all rumors are pointing to Josh McDaniel getting the job in Indianapolis. So they're probably going to put their staffs together, do some of that, along with trying to figure out the game plan against the Philadelphia Eagles, which they're doing right now. I mean, so it's pretty seamless for that squad. Philadelphia, on the other hand, because Doug Peterson's been there before, Frank Reich has been there before, and some of the people in the organization in Philly has been there, they kind of have a little bit of an idea.
All right, so Key, with all that going forward, as Keyshawn Johnson joins us, Super Bowl champ, ESPN football analyst, works at ESPN LA 710. Out of everything that you saw on Championship Sunday, what surprised you the most? Was it how close the game was between the Jags and the Patriots? Was it the pullback of the offense in the second half of the Jags? Was it the dominating performance by Nick Foles against the number 1 defense in Minnesota? What was the one that you saw that, wow, I did not see that coming?
You know what, Wingo, you gave me a lot to chew on right there, but I'm going to try to digest it all real quick. I would probably start off with New England, but I'm not saying anything to you guys that you don't know already, which is the New England Patriots, they make you play a certain way. They almost make you play scared in the second half of games. That's why I always tell people, if you're going to beat them, you got to stay aggressive for 4 quarters. You can't afford to let up and fall into their trap, which is, I'm going to make you press now. I'm going to do the little things like not go for it on 4th down when I'm on the 50-yard line or the plus 40. I'm going to punt, and I'm going to make your punt returner fair catch the ball on the 10 while I put Matthew Slater 5 yards behind him, opposed to kicking it into the end zone. So your guy now has to make a decision. Do I let it bounce? Do I fair catch it and put my offense and Blake Bortles, we don't trust, on the 10-yard line to make him go 90 yards? So when you're looking at that sort of stuff, you're saying to yourself, that's why they can go to 8 Super Bowls. That's why they can win championships after championship, because of the sort of thing that they do. Now, when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, you say to themselves, had you allowed Blake Bortles just to play football, let him play, don't scare him, don't get the ball on the 10-yard line and run 3 straight times and then punt, because now you give Danny Amendola an opportunity to get the punt return and run it back to the plus 30-yard line, and then next thing you know, they're in the end zone, game over. So when you're looking at all that during championship week, you're going, they did it again. Now when you go to the Minnesota game, you say, okay, Minnesota, they just got off to a fast start. Defense in Philadelphia wasn't set. The linebacker peeking in the backfield. The tight end runs a corner route. Case Keenum looks like Tom Brady, touchdown. Chris Long changed the entire game.
He sure did.
You didn't realize at that outset, at that moment, that him hitting the arm of Case Keenum, getting the interception, from that point on, I believe Philadelphia scored like 28 unanswered points or something like that. You didn't expect that to happen.
38, actually. Yeah,
was
it 38?
Yeah,
38. Yeah, 38.
You didn't expect that to happen.
No.
Nobody in their right mind could sit there and go, well, Nick Foles sure looked like Joe Montana. Nobody expected that.
And literally, he was Joe Montana, as he and Montana, the only quarterbacks with back-to-back games completing 75% of their throws in the postseason. Key, it's going to be great. Looking forward to the Super Bowl. It was great seeing you on the set with Boomer and TJ on primetime. Thanks for getting up early this morning with us, fella.
Thanks,
No
Key.
problem. All right, Butts.
All right, Key, talk to you later. All right, we messed up.
Yep.
This is a story that we should have gotten to earlier. We're going to get to it. And also, it's living proof. Be careful what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say something and then it happens, people remember. And a lot of people remembered this one. Real quickly, before we get into this story, which is wonderful, as we were talking with Key about, Super Bowl stuff, and I popped on ESPN.com. Kevin Seifert, our writer, has a great guide to Minneapolis while you're there, and highlights of the last meeting between these two were playing, Super Bowl 39. Just to show you how long this dominance has been for the Patriots and why it should be. I know people are tired of it, but you'll never see it again, okay? The highlight was of Super Bowl 39, Tom Brady playing and winning his third Super Bowl at that point. Well, on the field that day was Mike Vrabel, who caught a touchdown pass. Mike Vrabel is now a head coach in the NFL, and Tom Brady is still playing in the NFL. That's how long this dynasty has gone together. If you put it in those kind of terms, it's insane.
It's an amazing run.
What's happening?
It's incredible.
You know
run.
what else is insane?
What's that?
Bud Light to the rescue.
Yes!
So we have slept on this story all day.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do it for the last hour of the show. We're just going to do the story again and again. Lane Johnson, the right tackle, all-pro for the Eagles, likes to say things. And we love the fact that he likes to say things.
Yes, he does.
So he said, what did he say, Mike, before the season began?
It all started with a Lane Johnson quote. I think if we have a few big years and make the playoffs, if we win a Super Bowl, I'm giving out beer to everybody.
Now, when he's not talking about the team.
No.
He's not talking about everybody else in the front office.
Talking about everybody in Philadelphia.
The entire city of Philadelphia.
Right.
And as we saw from Championship Sunday, that would be a lot of beer.
That would be a lot of beer, and that's where Bud Light jumped in.
Comes into the rescue.
Bud Light jumped in, and they said, let's make a bet, win it all, and the party is on us.
There you go. So Bud Light has stepped in and said, we have not forgotten about our commitment to Lane Johnson, the Eagles, and the city of Philadelphia. We will be sharing plans soon, but in the interest of not jinxing the team ahead of their upcoming games, we are not going to unveil any plans at the time, a Bud Light spokesman told CBS Philadelphia. We wish the Eagles the best of luck this week.
Yeah, how mad would everybody get if they came out with this big promotion about when the Eagles win, this is what we're going to do before the Super Bowl.
That would be
Everybody
bad.
would be crushing them, so they said they're going to hold off on the plans. But they have something big planned if the Eagles win and some beer. Listen, that's just fantastic promotion on their part.
Brett, can we sort of put in statistical numbers? Let's say the average Philadelphia Eagles fan drinks, like, on a regular day, I don't know, 37 beers.
So
let's just from looking at some of the celebrations and things that went on before, I think 37's a good number, right, for the average Eagles fan.
Yes.
So let's try and figure out how much beer we're talking about that Bud Light is willing to put to the forefront there for all Eagles fans to pay off what Lane Johnson has said.
Philadelphia population in 2016, last check, was 1.568 million.
So we're looking at like 45 million beers.
We're looking at a lot of beer.
A lot of beers.
A lot of beer.
And I think 37, maybe 37 and a half is a good number.
What plan will they have to distribute beer in Philadelphia?
Do you need like an actual city resident? You can't say, I'm from the Philly area, like Southern New Jersey, you're out.
I think you just get about 1,000 vendors that you would get at the stadium just walking around the streets, handing out beers.
Throwing out beers.
Handing out beers.
But you need some sort of qualification. Because you can't be like, well, I live 30 minutes outside the city up the Schuylkill Expressway.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't work. I think it has to be, if we're talking about Philadelphia, it has to be literally in Philadelphia, right? Don't you think?
You would think so.
There has to be some sort of parameter.
I'm not gonna begrudge anybody that doesn't live within Philadelphia to try and get in there and get themselves some free beer, because that's one of the greatest things about beer is the word free in front of it.
Well, what's my favorite beer? The next one.
Yeah.
Or the
exactly
free, or
right.
the free one.
If it's free, give it to me. It's for me, and give me 3.
If it's free, it's for me, and I'll take 3.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
right.
So let me just say to Lane Johnson for doing this, putting it out there, well done. To the city of Philadelphia, who might be consuming all this beer, good for you. And to my good folks at Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, let me just say, dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly.
Nicely done. All right, coming up, Oscar nominations are out.
Yes, they are.
And we'll have our resident film critic and Armageddon lover, I'm assuming, Adnan. I love saying his name, Adnan. Adnan Verk will join us to tell you who's going to win. We've got it all covered, from the Super Bowl to free beer to the Oscars. Literally, what other show do you need? It's Golick and Wingo. And again, I say dilly dilly.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got 1 gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.